Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
Nobody wants a movie about true love. What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Rachel Zegler, she's an...
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And, you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Rachel Zegler didn't just sign on for Disney's new Snow White. She flipped the entire project upside down. What started as a nostalgic reboot quickly turned into one of the most controversial disasters Disney's ever faced. The chaos? It didn't start with costumes or casting. It started with her. When fans heard the breakout star from West Side Story landed the lead, the buzz was real. But the excitement died fast, because once Rachel started doing interviews, everything changed. She slammed the 1937 original, calling it weird and outdated, like it was some dusty relic that didn't deserve respect. For millions of Disney fans, it felt like she wasn't just rewriting the story, she was trashing it. But the fallout, that was just the beginning.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Oh my God.
That's when everything shifted. Hardcore Disney fans caught a glimpse of something they didn't expect, a smug, dismissive tone that rubbed people the wrong way. Then came the political firestorm. Rachel didn't just share her views. She torched an entire section of the population, calling out voters of a former US president with raw, borderline, hateful language. Her message? If you supported him, you don't belong. You don't deserve peace. For millions of potential moviegoers, that wasn't bold, it was personal. And just like that, this wasn't a film release anymore. It was a war zone.
So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
President Rachel Zegler also posted, F Trump kinds of posts on social media. She also said that she hoped that Trump supporters, quote, never know peace.
But you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace.
And they postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable, told all Trump supporters that they could off, excuse me, but she did. That was just in November. They didn't even know she was going to do that one.
For those still undecided about the live-action Snow White, that moment sealed it. They now had a reason to walk away, and they didn't look back. Why support a movie led by someone who seemed openly hostile toward half the country? Rachel tried to patch things up with an apology, but it didn't land. Critics called it forced, hollow, damage control, not remorse. And with that, the backlash went from loud to unstoppable.
And then she came out and she said, I apologize. Like, I went too far, but it wasn't sincere.
If you're already thinking this story's gone way off the rails, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people find out how wild this actually gets.
Disney sold it as a bold, modern take on a classic, but what fans got wasn't a fresh twist. It was a total rewrite. Instead of updating the original with care, they gutted it. Gone was the love story. Gone was the charm. Rachel doubled down in interviews, proudly saying, Snow White doesn't need a man. That line went viral, but not the way Disney hoped. Fans weren't against a strong princess. They just didn't sign up for a version that tossed all the heart and romance in the trash. And the changes didn't stop there.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million, and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension, racial politics, politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime. And let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely atrocious.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo. Is it like on a metaphorical level? What is
the prince? Reduced to a creepy footnote, the evil queen, stripped of her obsession with beauty, recast as a generic, power-hungry villain. No elegance, no envy, just bland. And the music? Forget the iconic songs that defined generations. In their place came jarring, preachy tracks that critics slammed as hollow. Then Rachel made it worse. She called the classic prince a stalker, like the original romance was something sinister. Fans who grew up loving Someday My Prince Will Come were stunned. To them, this wasn't just a reimagining. It was demolition, and Disney wasn't done tearing things apart.
Accusing Disney of inserting unnecessary feminism into classic fairy tales.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
So no prince or a different kind of prince? I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's scenes could get cut? Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Are you Disney? I've read your book, and I have. It's a phenomenal book. You're losing generation of loyal viewers. When you think about Snow White, what is the premise? What is the story?
It's a love story. It's a love story.
It's a dream for a girl to grow up and a man falls in love.
I'm really upset that it's the biggest theme here is that it's anti-men. She called him a stalker.
Just as Disney kicked off its marketing blitz, boom, Rachel's old social media posts resurfaced. She'd mocked Trump voters, hurled insults, and said she hoped they'd never know peace. Even people who hated Trump thought it went too far. And when you're the face of a Disney princess movie, alienating millions of families isn't exactly a winning strategy. Disney scrambled. PR teams rushed to smooth things over, but Rachel wasn't backing down. On talk shows, she doubled down. Defiant, unapologetic, standing by every word. Instead of damage control, it felt like gasoline on a fire. And that fire, it was about to hit the box office.
Because you just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather she deserves to be in a padded cell.
Online, people weren't letting it slide. She hates half of us, one user posted, and then expects us to pay for her movie? That take exploded, and it wasn't alone. The outrage echoed across platforms, fueling boycott campaigns that helped bury the film's opening weekend. But the fire wasn't just about Rachel. Disney had its own mess brewing. The dwarfs, core to the original's magic, were suddenly gone. After actor Peter Dinklage called them outdated, Disney panicked. Instead of updating the characters with care, they erased them completely. Leaks showed bizarre CGI creatures. Rumors said they'd be replaced by diverse bandits. Nothing clicked. Even desperate reshoots couldn't fix it. The charm was gone, and so was the trust.
Then they got even crazier, and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
These are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles because that's not for me.
Right.
And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
Critics didn't hold back, and neither did the fans. Disney claimed they were being progressive, but by cutting the dwarfs entirely, they erased 7 major roles that could have gone to little person actors. The very community they claimed to protect left out. People called it what it was: hypocrisy. Instead of reimagining the dwarfs with heart and care, Disney replaced them with bland CGI stand-ins no one connected with. No charm, no chemistry, no reason to care, and whatever magic was left, gone in an instant.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs. Finding a a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work. That many scripts that come down the pike.
No, only 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7 dwarf jobs here. But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right.
The 7 dwarfs of Snow White have, of course, all just disappeared, and now they're the 7 dysfunctional men, I assume.
I guess, what are we going to have? Like a lesbian, a trans person, someone in a wheelchair, someone of color? Like, I don't understand. Why weren't the dwarfs enough? But apparently they were too offensive because the most famous dwarf of all, Peter Dinklage, said something negative about it back in 2022, thus ruining the biggest acting roles the dwarfs had ever seen since the creation of Willy Wonka's Oompa Loompas back in the 1970s.
They couldn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
that?
because
Peter
Dinklage
and all them were talking crap. So originally they
took a picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like.
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of dwarves.
dwarves.
Yep. They had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves. There you
So
go.
those guys didn't make it.
No. That guy's 6'2".
And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves. So,
Thanks for watching.